Just rip the skin over.
Oh my God, she goes from 0 to 150, you know, in a second.
Quickly.
Yeah. And it's like dealing with a tiny chainsaw.
I saw a little dog down the beach today, and I was playing with it, and the little needles, I was bleeding above the front.
Good evening, everybody. We're going to call to order the Planning and Zoning Board meeting for June 16th for the city of St. Augustine Beach. Welcome, everybody. And we will start with a call to order and a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if we can do the roll call.
Mr. Kincaid?
Here.
Ms. Odo?
Present.
Mr. Einhauser?
Here.
Ms. Longstreet?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Meadows?
Here.
Mr. Pranis?
Here.
Mr. Zaretz?
Here.
Mr. Tisdale?
Okay, first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the regular Planning and Zoning meeting from May 19th, 2020. Has everybody had a chance to review these minutes? Anybody have any comment or additions or changes to the minutes? We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we're in public comment for any items not on the agenda. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Moving on to new business. Our first order of new business is a land use variance at 412 F Street for the construction of a 224 square foot addition to an existing single-family residence.
Good evening, board members, members of the public. Thank you for being here tonight. Our first variance application is for a 224 square foot enclosed sunroom addition to an existing single-family residence at 412 F Street. It is zoned medium-low density residential, and they're asking for a rear yard setback reduction from 25 feet to 19 feet. Proposed existing structure is right here. The addition is shown on the back of this survey. Included with the application, the applicants have provided a petition signed by 10 neighboring property owners. And we have a location map here showing the applicant's house at 412 F Street. They have the signed petition with support with neighbors from 410 F Street, 408 F Street, 407 and 409 E Street behind them, and 405 and 403 F Street across the street from them. The agent for the applicant, Ryan Halcrow, is here, and he is the contractor for the project. So I'm going to call him up at this time, and Ryan or Amber, if you'll come up to the podium, introduce yourself, give your name and address. The board will feel free to ask you any questions.
Okay. I'm Ryan Halcrow. My home address is 17 Lindemar, St. Augustine Beach, and that's about it.
Okay. You want to tell us about the project and
Sure.
what you're asking for?
Sure. So this project is a 16 by 14 addition. We list it as a sunroom, but it's a fully functional, fully air-conditioned space. The setback is at 25 from the rear of the property. We're requesting to go to an additional 6 feet into that setback, so the setback would be now 19 feet. As of right now, some of the comments about this property and this addition is we're not removing any trees. We aren't going above the current height of the actual house, so the structure that we're adding on probably will not be visible from the street, maybe from Some of the rear facing homes, you will be able to see it, but nothing from the street. We talked over this variance with the homeowners, Mr. James Cooper and Miss Susan Horwitz. Miss Susan is here with us, and they wanted to go ahead with the variance. So we're asking the board to take a look at our proposal and let us know what you think.
Okay, one of the things that we look for and require is a hardship. Could you describe the hardship that
Yes.
require the variance?
Yes, so as of right now, the home itself isn't very large. They wanted to add some square footage, and they only had basically two options. There's really no room on the side yards, as you can see right here. Those setbacks are 10 feet. And currently, the space in between their home on the west side is at about 11 feet. The two houses are that close together. The home on the east side actually has their fence within their own property. So they only have about 5 feet of usable space between that fence and their home. The options that we had were to make an addition on the back, but that could only be somewhere below 8 feet to the north of the property, which would make a very small, tight, long room, which wasn't a good option for them. And then the second option was to go up. The hardship there was my clients are getting older in age, and that's not what they wanted to do. So throughout the years, this is their retirement home. They don't want to bring in stairs, so they thought this would be the best possible use of their own space.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of the applicant?
I noticed in the, I'm sorry, I noticed in the application, are the homeowners currently living in this space? Hi.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so they're inhabiting it now? It's
Yes, they
not
are.
the future, okay. That's all right now.
Okay.
You know the size of the current deck that's off the back right now?
The size of the current deck, it has been demolished, but I believe that deck was about, let me look here in my notes. I believe that was about 150 square feet.
Ryan, we have a survey with the current
Oh.
on it.
Are you talking about this old deck?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think in total it was about 150 square feet, but I don't see if that's listed on our survey here. But I'll be happy to find that out for you.
The paperwork that you did, that you turned in for the variance, all says 25 to 20. So all of the paperwork that will be, that is with the city does not say 19. It says 20. That's only a difference of 1 foot, but, I mean, legally, you need to make sure that it just says, it does say, is paperwork here?
Yes, I understand the confusion, but we are requesting that it goes from 25 feet to 19 feet. That's on the agenda. And we're requesting that also on the first page of our paperwork. I think,
But it's not on any of the, when it says like the discrepancies and,
Right at the top, 20, from 25 feet to 19 feet,
so,
on the front page.
looking at all of these.
And then it's also on the site plan.
It's in the description from the letter we got from Bonnie.
I didn't see that. I see that one, yeah. I'm just as reading these.
It's all at 20.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying in reading these are all 20.
19 here.
I have another question. It says that there were steps, are those steps going, they were going to the deck and they were demolished? Is that?
The old deck, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
There were no steps up the?
No, there's no concrete structures,
Right.
nothing. It was a low-lying wood deck. And this
I went
current,
by the houses, this house and the other one, but you can't see around the back, and I don't trespass, so sometimes it's hard to see.
no, are you asking about the new structure, whether you can see it? Would you be,
No, I was just commenting that when I went to look, you can't see the back without trespassing on the property.
that's right, they have a closed-in fence, they have pets, and even with this new structure, I really believe that nobody's going to be able to see it from any viewpoint on the road, seeing how tight the house to the west is and how close the fence is to the east.
Thank you.
I went by it also, I don't think you can be able to see it from the road. I do, the 19 feet or where you're requesting, that does include the portion of the alley that's been vacated, so it's already more than the original, using the original property lines, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And the one
That's
neighbor that
confusing.
I didn't see that was represented was the one directly behind. Has there been any comment from them?
I haven't heard,
There are tenants directly behind us. I knocked on the door, but they weren't there.
Okay.
Spoken to the owner, but he wasn't available that day to sign either, so.
Okay. Is the owner local?
Yes.
So they know about the proceeding anyway? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can get his name.
That's all right. Any other questions from the applicant?
Not the applicant. I have a question for Bonnie.
Okay. Okay, you can have a seat for a minute if that's okay, and we will call you back up if
thank you,
necessary.
everybody.
Bonnie, these, I'm referring to this page, is that filled out by the applicant? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In number 2, where it says the approved variances, the 4 examples, my memory's not that good, I can't go back to 2019. I'm just wondering about the hardships in those, and do you happen to?
They don't have addresses on them,
Oh, yeah.
so I, just trying to remember what they were by the file
Yeah, I know,
names.
it's-
I do not know.
Because I'm just wondering, we approve and we deny based sometimes on the hardship, so I was just wondering, what was the hardship of those 4 in reference? Because, if you just look at it on paper, it's, well, we gave it to 4 examples, but we don't know what the hardship
Right.
was, why we gave it to them, so.
Fourth one was the little carport
Yeah,
that was already built.
That was-
That was the hardship.
that was it, yeah. That was asking for forgiveness, not
And
permission.
it looked like
Already
these
been built.
variance file numbers were gotten off an agenda, probably off the website, because it refers to new business and the variance file number, but no addresses.
Mr. Chair, I do remember the one from January 21st, that number 3, that I believe that was Dr. Wibby and his family, asking for a reduced setback to construct a house for their family. As far as the nature of the hardship, I believe it was, they needed it to build the house they needed.
And also if I'm correct with that one, all the other houses had been built back to that same line? And this was just going to bring that house back to that same line?
It's possible, I don't recall that exactly.
I think it was on 15th Street, maybe?
It was
14th
was
Street.
14th Street, okay. But that would bring the house back in line with all the rest of the houses on the street?
right.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
And it was 129 14th Street.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions for Bonnie?
Thank you, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
Okay, discussion on the board.
Hardship.
They can make a hardship case, but they're not doing a very good job of it. they can go back and do it without us having to do it for them.
I mean, these 4 cases cited, shame on me for not going back and investigating it sooner. You know, it's always setting precedents, you know, and obviously, we've set precedents on this 4 times, but we don't know what the hardships were.
They can say, this is my retirement home, we are getting up in age, and we are very hesitant to be getting stairs because of our back, our legs, our this, our that, yada, 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 but we shouldn't have to do this for them. So they should be getting together and writing this down. Or somebody should have this written down for them in planning and zoning, so by the time it comes to us, we shouldn't have to help them with this.
I do see the hardship that they're talking about. My fear is that we're back again dealing with somebody who bought too small of a house and needs a bigger house, and we want to undo the land development regulations in order to accommodate that. But I do see the request and the hardship, and I do think that, at least in my mind, impact plays a part as well, even though that's not in the regulations. And I don't see, having driven by this house and not being able to see it from the road, all the neighbors around it have supported it. I think there's a significant lack of impact or negative impact for allowing this, other than the precedental setting that we're doing by allowing another variance to come through and us create the hardship for them.
Right, exactly. I don't think we should be the ones to set the hardship. I think they need to do it. I'm not saying 1,070 square feet. My house was 1,070 square feet with 4 children in there. I understand. I mean, thank goodness we didn't have to have it wasn't a big deal, to do what we had to do. But.
Go ahead.
We just kind of mushed them all together and made them share rooms, so.
Is it more
How
common
long
over
ago
here?
was the
Want to
setback
vamp up on the-
switch from 25 to 20? It's only been, what, a couple of years?
The setbacks were changed about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. They were 20.
25 to 20. If I may, this house actually has an unusual construction type. If you look at the front right of the house where it juts out, based on my math, that's approximately 25-foot setback, but the rest of the house comes in. Traditionally, if we built this house at today's setbacks, we would maximize our square footage, especially on these medium-density lots, so we would come right across the front. In this case, the whole house, and it's, like Ms. Hester said, it's just the way it is. It's the way the house was built, but we wouldn't build this like this. We would capitalize all this because it complies with 25-foot setback. So a possible hardship is, and take it for what it's worth, the pre-existing constructions with this extremely restrictive rear setback is denying the applicant the ability to build a sunroom. And after saying, or not a sunroom, but a habitable living area. Having said that, I was requested to bring up the GIS showing the aerial imagery of the street. And if you guys are okay with that, I'll do that.
Absolutely.
The property owner, Mrs. Horowitz, has also asked to come up to the podium and speak.
Sure.
Whenever you get a moment, just
Okay.
call on her, and she needs to come to the podium, give her name and address.
It's probably the same square footage.
We picked up update. So
Yeah. What's that?
The 412 F Street's the one with the blue circle on it?
Anybody have any comments or questions about regarding the map? Okay, any further board discussion on the matter?
Ooh, there.
No, unless they want to, well, she wants to have a conversation.
Yes.
Mrs. Horowitz wants to come up and talk. And then if they want to like go out and have a redo the paperwork and come back and talk to us again about the hardship, if they want to redo the hardship, I don't have a problem with them coming back and, in a couple of minutes and giving us a different hardship if they want to do that.
Ms. Horowitz, would you like to address the board, please?
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name's Susan Horowitz, and I live at 412 F Street in St. Augustine Beach. I moved here, we've owned the home since 2006, but I just retired. My husband's in the process of retiring. He's 75, I'm 67. And if you look at I don't know if you can tell from this, but there are very few windows in the house. We don't get a lot of light. And so what we're really looking for is a room where we get some light so that we can sit inside when it's really hot without, being able to have to be enclosed. And so that's the motivation for wanting to add in the back. And, we looked at alternatives, but, a 10-foot room, it's like a little boxcar. It wouldn't be worth doing at all. And as far as building stairs, I'm not at all interested in having to climb stairs as I get older. My husband already has 2 knee replacements, so I'm not sure what else you need in terms of hardship, but that's the way I would explain the purpose and the need for this.
That's great. I would just write that down. We just need it written down and
Okay.
explain, like that where it says, what is your hardship? Your husband has 2 knee replacements, and he's 75 years old. He's not listening, hopefully, and you can make it, well, whatever you want to put it. And say, his difficulty level of up and down the stairs is, very difficult to master, and this is what we need. That's all the hardship we need.
And I would add in there too, as Mr. Law put, the property itself, the way the building is built itself also presents a hardship as far as maximizing the use of your space on your lot. So that
Right.
gives us an ability to look at the lot or the building causing the hardship rather than being a personal or medical issue for a hardship.
I think that's a better,
Yeah.
one
Okay,
that can be,
Point-
not a
point of-
precedent.
Point of information, everything we do and say in this hearing is evidence and goes in. So if the board wants to have it written down, they can. I'd suggest tabling the meeting and do it, but it's really not necessary. Everything we're inputting here is part of the record and it gets entered into the minutes, and that's why we do the minutes for every meeting.
we can
we can incorporate that
The
into the
hardship she's
findings,
demonstrated
that you
now.
find that that is the hardship. But if you want it written down, you can do that too. It's your discretion.
But it's in the minutes. So-
Correct, it's in the
Yeah,
minutes.
So it is written down. And it describes the
Will be
hardship.
written down, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I have a
So
quick question.
Kevin, go ahead, you're first.
Vacated alley, they own half that alley now?
Traditionally, when we vacate an alley, 7.5 feet goes either way. That 7.5 feet can be used for setbacks, but it can't be built permanently on without prior approval, usually from the Public Works Director. So it does count as their property. The 7.5 feet is added to their setbacks.
Just can't build
There's
them.
another 7 feet.
Yes, sir, you can put fences, and if the Public Works
Fences, but
Director...
you can't.
Yes, sir.
House.
And like I said, if the Public Works Director sees fit to allow a deck in that, that's his purview. Most of the time when we vacate alleys, in the bottom of the order, we retain the right, if for some unknown reason technology changes, we need it.
Yes, Chris?
My initial question to the representative, to the owner, about the size of the deck was along your lines about the impact of the space. Because it's not specifically laid out on the survey, the size, it looks like it was pretty close to what they're looking to add anyway. So the impact is not going to be dramatic over what was there prior.
And there's no negative comments from any neighbors that we received, so. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just in the record, due to physical impairments of the people, then the owners, then that would be the reason for having to do this, so I'm.
I don't see where they're building a room on because you have physical impairments, you have to build a room?
Because then they can, well, because they wouldn't have to have this if they could build stairs or something like that, then they wouldn't have to have, to go out, if they could go a different way.
I think just my opinion, I think we have to be careful with the medical and the physical impairments. Those are not permanent, but whatever gets built on this lot is going to be there for maybe generations, or who knows. The LDRs, I think, lay out that it should be something to do with either the lot size or the building size or some physical attribute of the property that presents a hardship for them. And I think when Mr. Law laid out that the current building, the way it's built, the current building, they wouldn't build it today, so that current building provides a hardship for them to maximize the use of their lot. And therefore granting the variance to give them the extra feet, we're recognizing the current restrictions, I guess, brought about by the way the building was built originally.
Because that's 8 feet, that jut out is 8 feet. So,
The one in the front,
yeah, the one in the front, so it's 8 feet out.
So
So you're opening up to anybody that has that building.
I'm opening it up for us to be able to evaluate each person's lot and the building that's on the lot individually. That way, without really setting a precedent, we have the ability to look at every variance as to the impact to the neighborhood, I guess, but as well as the restrictions that the lot or the ability to use the lot. I think last month we approved a variance based on a lot that was odd-shaped, and it was unable to use the lot to their full advantage because of the odd shape of the lot, even though it didn't cause any problems and all the neighbors were in favor of it. But the hardship was the odd shape of the lot. And I think here the hardship is for the easiest for us to do without getting into medical issues and requiring people to prove that they really have a hardship. We can look at the map and we can see and we can listen to the building.
If we're having to ask for doctor's notes and such, then yes, I understand that.
Well, I don't know we have to, but I don't think we want to get into anywhere near that either. So I'm afraid to get into the medical parts of these, or the physical ailment part, because that only lasts until you move, and then somebody else is coming in. So the building is the building forever until it's demolished. So
Yeah, you don't want to be, this board does not legally want to be making decisions about assessing somebody's medical abilities or lack thereof. And that really, I mean, you can take everything into account in some sense, but I think you should have a justification other than medical to do these things.
And I think we are taking it into account.
Okay, I mean, I know in the past we have, but that's fine. No, that's great.
Any other comments? We have a motion? I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the variance as it's requested based on the hardship of the way the current building is built and the inability to use the lot to its full potential.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Got good contractors, by the way.
All right. Good luck and enjoy it.
Okay, our second order of business is another variance at 115 15th Street for another addition.
Here is the property at 115 15th Street. The 8 by 12-foot bathroom addition is shown right here on the southeast portion of the lot. The applicant is asking for a side yard setback reduction from 10 feet to 7 feet. This house was built in 1957, before the city was incorporated as a city, and she wants to follow along with the 7-foot east side setbacks for the bathroom addition. She has plenty of room in the back, but she also has a septic tank in the back. So it has to be built where it is shown located on the survey. And the applicant has also included in the application the approval from the state of Florida, the Department of Health, and St. Johns County Environmental Health approving the application for the bathroom addition, saying it is not going to impact the current septic system. And she also has included letters of support from the neighbors on both the east and west sides of her property at 113 15th Street and 117 15th Street, and a letter of support from another neighbor down the road at 107 15th Street.
And there was no negative feedback.
No negative correspondence, phone calls, feedback whatsoever. And the applicant is Sally Nichols. She is here. So,
Anybody have any questions for Bonnie? Thank you.
Sally, come in front, introduce yourself, and state your name and address.
I'm Sally Nichols, and I live at 115 15th Street, 32080. I'm retired. I'm 70. I also had 4 children. I now have 4 sets of, their partners or their husbands or wives. And I have 4 grandchildren, and I have another one I just found out on the way. My kids all live either in Atlanta, Tampa, or Canada, which we're really having a rough time now because they can't come to visit me. But they do love to visit me, and some of them come down for a month. And those are my kids, my children and grandchildren from Canada. And they have girls for kids, which like bathrooms. I have a bathroom about the size of this thing, and I really need a second bathroom because I have usually 4, my kids, my daughter or my son and their wife or husband, and at least a couple of grandkids. So I really would like a little bit bigger one. And they're getting older now, and that's my story.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions of the applicant? Okay, if you want to have a seat, we'll have a discussion. We'll call you back up if we need you. Thank you. Any board discussion?
Definitely an odd shape. House on the lot is odd.
The what?
The shape of the house, the existing house on the lot.
See a problem with it, it's gonna stay inside the,
More than 4.9.
what's that?
More than 4.9.
4.9.
He's talking about the front right setback where the house is skewed
Right.
a lot due to surveying techniques
So
in the 50s.
it's gonna stay at 7, it's gonna go along, in line with the house, it's not gonna stick out.
And had they done this when this was first built, there wouldn't have been an issue,
Correct.
because it would have been in line with the house. So this was something that predates on any of our LDRs in any case.
Predates the city.
Predates the city.
1959, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I drove by this, I didn't see any issues because it follows the same line of the house. We're not asking to go closer to anybody else's house within a setback that's not, that wasn't, I mean, it's a new setback to the building.
2 years ago, it would have been.
Probably
okay.
go a little further away from the property line as it goes.
Yeah.
Could I, Mr. Law, could you explain why this septic system would be approved from St. Johns County when we're trying to have people hook up to the sewer?
All right, that's a long-term goal for the city. The state of Florida Health Department has their own rules. If the system is functioning, and this is of no impact because bathrooms aren't the definition of an impact to the septic system, it's more the bedrooms, and the system is working, then it's fine. Now, Ms. Nichols will most likely not be granted a new septic permit in the event of a massive failure of this system if sewer is available. So the health department plays a long game. At some point, if they need a new tank or the drain field collapses, then the health department would have to look at the state laws and determine if it was required, but they are essentially a higher power.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Any questions? A motion?
Make the motion to approve?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Your family be glad.
Thank you.
Eventually, when I pay for this, then I will change the subject. If it ever breaks down. But glad to be as long as it's working.
Okay, third item on our agenda is the ordinance number secret.
We haven't assigned a number to it yet.
They don't number the ordinances now until they're passed by the city commission. So they keep them blank until then so that we don't go out of order. They were having lots of blanks and it caused confusion. So they've switched the way they number.
Okay, we'll be reviewing the top secret ordinance.
Yep.
Dick.
The mixed-use regulations first were suggested for the city in 2006, when the city hired consultants to do the A1A Beach Boulevard Corridor Vision Plan. And we have adopted the regulations for mixed-use development, and they are in section 3.02.02.01 of the LDRs, which are included right behind Max's memo to the commission on this ordinance. But they don't, if you look at this section of the LDRs, there is no definition of the exact location of the mixed-use district. So we have suggested an ordinance that is in line with what the vision plan suggested, that it The mixed-use district consists of all the commercial land use along A1A Beach Boulevard from the city's northern limit on the north side of Pope Road to the south side of F Street, and the commercial designation runs 150 feet from the center line of the boulevard on the east side of the boulevard and 300 feet from the center line of the boulevard on the west side. All of that is designated commercial, and the ordinance that is suggested for the mixed-use location incorporates the same commercial designation. The City Commission reviewed this ordinance at its meeting earlier this month on Monday, June 1st, and recommended, or they passed it on first reading. And now it's for the PZB's review and recommendation to the Commission. When they get it again, they will pass it on final reading, hopefully with your recommendation of approval.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the ordinance?
Could we have some background information, why was it presented to the commission? The reason?
A while ago, we were reviewing the codes with some other mixed-use development proposed, and yeah, it's a great district. It promotes everything the city wants to be, but it doesn't tell you where it is. So in any code, you have to define boundaries, make definitions and such. So basically, we didn't want somebody on the 5th block west of the boulevard saying, we're mixed use, and then building something that, so this just defines what a mixed-use district is in accordance with the vision plan.
Okay. Nothing has changed the ordinance, the mixed-use definition.
Well, the key to remember is this is a mixed-use district, not to be confused with mixed-use buildings that we've been seeing pop up. Mixed-use districts to create a combination of retail, pedestrian-friendly businesses, residential, and commercial buildings. So it's just to break up the monotony of the commercial
But this
sector.
isn't addressing the definition of mixed use. This is just addressing the boundaries.
This is defining the boundaries, and that's it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion?
I make a motion, we recommend, gotta be careful with those, recommend this ordinance from the city commission to establish the boundaries designated for the mixed use along A1A Beach Boulevard. Is that right? Good enough? Okay.
It's good enough. I mean, if we want to simplify, we can just recommend to the commission approval of the ordinance as written.
The top secret ordinance is
To the
written.
top secret.
It's got a special decoder.
The no name, the no name.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And our last order of business is to move the date of the August meeting from August 18th to August 25th. And I don't believe that's something we need to vote on because we're not going to have a room to meet. So,
We do have to vote on it. Don't we have to vote on?
They don't necessarily have to vote, they just have to agree.
Yeah, just as long as you agree, that's fine.
We need a,
No objection.
we need a general consensus that we're going to have a quorum also on the 25th.
okay, is anybody not available on the 25th of August?
Wait a minute. Hold on, I might not be. I'll be here.
Everybody else good?
Good.
Hold on.
Thank you.
I might be taking my children to college. I'll have to check and get back to you. It's sometime in August.
And a quorum's four? We've got a quorum in any case then. Okay.
Okay.
All right, any other business for the board, any old business?
I do have a question. The property on 13th Street that had the new part that they're doing the commercial, and then they have the duplexes. Now, I know when we agreed for them to build it on the commercial part, we put a caveat that if they were going to build that commercial property that close, that they would have to keep those lots together, that they would not be able to separate those lots and sell the property separately. Correct?
That's the way I remember it.
And they are.
But they're trying to sell them separately, but they can't.
But this was brought up at the commission meeting, Mr. Claude, by, I think, your neighbor. I can't think of her name now, but the blonde hair.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
Did you
about.
get an answer? I mean,
I talked with the contractor and the owner, and the owner's developer, I guess is what he is. They had proposed a question to us about a year ago, and they're looking into making it a condominium on where the duplex currently is to the east of the new building, and they would only be selling the inside. But basically, just like you buy a condo, but the ownership still retains ownership of it, same principle.
No, but you can't sell it. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you look how close they are together, the roof is overlapping onto the property of the other, and we said they could not sell the other property.
But you're not talking about selling the entire property, you're talking about
They're
selling
trying
one
to
of the
sell the
units
duplex.
inside the
Selling the
property.
use of the condominium, as far as I understand it, they have removed the sign, but as I spoke at the commission, first, the order doesn't address that, and I wasn't here when the order was passed or anything like that. But I'm sure legal counsel would have a huge opposition if I tried to block a private property sale.
But it was agreed upon by the owners, and it was said there, it was written that they would not be able to sell one, it was all put together. All 5 lots were on one specific thing, and we said you cannot separate those lots then. If you are going, if you agree to, if you're going to put this, build this commercial plot, then you have to agree not to separate the 5 lots, because they're too close.
Do we have, I'd have to go back and review what the order was when we did it.
Nothing like that in the order.
There's nothing.
No, I've read the order. The fact is, if they were going to try to sell a part, I'm sure it would get flagged in the closing because it's all under one parcel ID. They'd have to break it apart without a clear delineation.
And
I would be floored if somebody could actually pull that off.
How can they possibly do that when they had to dig underneath the plots of the other ground just for the water and everything else?
In the back.
Yes, ma'am, that's what I'm trying to allude to, is I don't think they can.
So I'm
I know we
having a
got the
hard
big
time.
wall there now. I don't think they can do it, but once again, my department will not intervene whether they try to sell it now or 10 years from now, because I would have no legal right to do that. It's not in the order, but I don't think it can happen. Because when they do their record search and all the paperwork that goes with the closing documents,
To
there's
get
no,
a clear
there's
title,
no,
to get a clear title.
yes, ma'am, there's no delineation where they could break it. So I think it's just something they were thinking about as a condominium and just selling the inside of one of the duplexes, is what we were told when we asked about it the other week. But as far as I understand, they had a meeting with us, and they told us that they had pulled the sign, and I don't know if they're getting on the MLS listings.
It's still on the MLS.
But the fact is, I'm still not going to intervene in something 10 years from now if it happens, because I'm pretty sure I would be somewhere treading on government taking.
Yeah, quite possibly, worried about that. But also, it probably isn't a good candidate for a lot split, from what you're describing, because there's no way to separate the different utility functions and everything else.
Well, the buffers that weren't going to exist, right? But wasn't that part of it?
That was the
How would
part, it
anybody
was
know?
part of it that
There
they.
was no buffer because
For a lot
it's like
split?
7 feet with a roof that almost touched.
You have to
Yeah,
apply
it's
those to the
literally-
county, you have to bring
it goes
surveys, you
over
have to
top of the other one.
show why you're
Yeah.
splitting it and that it's still viable, each individual lot. I've gone through a couple of those.
And also,
I wouldn't think that
paperwork
they would approve
on
of
the
it.
lo-
From
on
what
the
you're describing,
new property,
maybe when I see it, I say something different, but.
It's like,
they
is
did not show
before my
that there
time,
was
but-
going to be a deck on the
Now, if you're
side.
talking about a
At
all?
condominium, that's a different.
Yes, ma'am, I can go ahead and address that right now. If you look at the front door, next time you walk by there, you will see a nice City of St. Augustine Beach stop work order placed because of those decks. On next month's agenda, you will see a post-permit change for the Oceans 13 facility to address the deck that they built and to change the parking configuration. That was completed submittal yesterday around 4 o'clock. So next time you walk by there, look on the front door, and you're going to see a big stop work order that addresses the decks.
We'll have an opportunity to address the builder and the owner next month.
That would be nice.
Nothing there.
They do address in the multiple listing that it's subject to HOA docs, approvals, and declarations currently being drawn up. Because it didn't before, there was no HOA. I've sold that property 3 times, so.
Right, they came to us and we said that's not a service the building department provides. We do not get involved with the condominiums or any of that. We build the buildings, then whatever gets approved, that's what we build. So if you look here, why I say it's very challenging is because of the property configuration. That's one of the lots, see it doesn't even split clearly on the duplex line. So
No.
once again, challenging. Then this lot, once again, half Oceans 13, the new building is in there. Then you got this little sliver here. The storm drainage, I believe, is here, somewhere around here. This is the new proposed parking. You will be receiving memos from the Public Works Director and the St. Johns County Fire Department at your next meeting about any concerns they have. But currently, there is a stop work order posted.
Didn't we extend his permit for the fences?
Yes, and I believe the fences are down.
The fences are down.
They are, yeah.
That's good. If all this was in the, let's say, and the permission, the building permission, would you have a legal case?
Okay.
I still would not intrude in a private sale of property. I just wouldn't do it. The city attorney may. I'm not equipped to deal in that level of work. The fact is, they'd have to do something very creative. Are we privileged to every lot that gets maneuvered that the county allows? No. Sometimes we look on the map and we see a new lot line show up. And that will bring all the buildings into a non-conforming status, which means they couldn't be repaired in the event of a major storm. So it opens up a whole new chapter of the Land Development Code. But as far as we know now, they were intending to do some sort of condominium, but I said, you got to give it to the state of Florida. It's all kinds of rules. So yeah, as of now, the building can continue inside, but the deck, all work on the deck has to stop.
So just clarification, when you say they're going to do condominiums, are they going to include the duplex as a condominium?
I don't have that information. That's something we can ask the applicant next month, but as I understand it, they were just talking about the duplex east of the new building.
Okay, so not.
But once again, it's not in the purview of this department.
What Hester's brought up is that they're trying to sell the duplex for $765,000.
Yeah, and we talked to them about it, and we had a meeting with them last week about the deck and the stop work order and everything. And I told them there was a concern of some of the residents, and I advised them they will be applying for a post-permit change in accordance with the code. So they will be here next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
More news than we really wanted, but yes.
Okay, any other comment about that, Hester?
No, that's it, but thank you.
Any other board comment? Anything for the good of the order? All right, we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
You.